Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today I finally got my hands on the Warlord Games Epic Waterloo British, so get ready for those. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and please leave some comments below. So I started off with a black spray coat, and then I just used a slight zenithal dry brushing to just highlight the raised areas. I then used red. The colour red is dried blood from Game Effects, which is a I think subsidiary of Vallejo, just to pick out the tunic itself. In that area I did the sleeves, the top of the tunic and the bottom, but I didn't douse the whole model in red, I just did the areas that needed picking out. Then for the trousers I used uniform grey, although I did water it down slightly, just so that way it would be more like a wash / contrast. For the rifle stocks I used leather brown, which is game colour. It's quite bright at this stage, as are most of the colours, but I do that for a reason, that once they get the dark wash later on, everything will kind of merge back to where it should be. I have to say I enjoyed painting these, and there's a lot of detail, but when it comes to doing the white in a bit, oh, that was stressful. So for the blue, so these are going to be a Royal Regiment, so they've got the blue facings. I was using Magic Blue from Game Colour, and so that's on the cuffs, collars, just the cuffs and collars. I was quite surprised actually that, because the British had the sort of iconic round blue water bottle, that the miniatures, at least not that I could see, didn't appear to have the water bottle. They've got the white bread bag, but I couldn't see the water bottle. If I'm being blind, please let me know. Next colour is Dead White, which I use to do the basically anything white on them, so the bread bags. At this stage I didn't do the belts. I'm just doing all the blocking in at this stage. So here we have the flesh. Yeah, as I said, I blocked in all of the big colours, so the red for the tunics, the grey for the trousers, the flesh, the rifles, the metal for the bayonets, the white for the bags, and then we'll come back later on and do the detailed parts. You could do all of the belts and the straps now in white, but you're going to be redoing them in a second anyway, so you'd be doubling the time for very little return, in my opinion. So yeah, I just did all of the metal parts in silver. So the bayonets, the tops of the flagpoles, and the bases of the poles, the officer's sword, etc. And the silver that I was using, again, it's game colour, and it's just called silver. Again, slightly brighter than perhaps some people would use, but once we put the wash on in the next stage, then that'll dull it back down to where we want. For the wash itself, I used a dark brown. It was just a craft store paint, and then I mixed that with Liquitex Matte Medium and Flow Improver, and that gave me quite a nice sort of Agrax Earth shade type wash. And once that had dried, it was time to get back into them. So we went back over the grey. Again, same grey as before, uniform grey, but this time just picking out sort of the tops. We're kind of just doing highlighting now. And through the different, you start off with the dark black, and then you have the sort of washed grey which goes over the top of that. Then that all gets the brown earth wash over the top, and then we finally highlight with just the straight colour itself. Picking out the bedrolls, or the greatcoats they should probably be. And now comes the stressful part. So all of the white, I find with the British soldiers they look amazing when they're done, but actually having to do the painting, and you can just see your hand shaking slightly with every single line. Oh, yeah, it takes a bit of doing, but I did enjoy it. I mean, when I was in the Household Cavalry, we had to white sap all of our belts, so I know exactly what it's like to do it in real life as well as on miniature, and neither is particularly fun. But once you can get them propped up, get your hand supported against the table, then it all moves quite quickly. And if you hold your brush at a slight angle as well, so you're kind of, rather than using the tip, just using the edge of the brush where possible, again it takes the potential for jabbing a whole lot of paint into the wrong place away. You're kind of almost doing like a dry brushing, although you're not. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you practice you'll understand where I'm coming from. But now, watching back, it actually seems quite relaxing, watching the each of the lines appearing. And now for the white, just in coloration, again it was the same dead white as before. I've seen some people who talk about doing a layer of grey first and then doing white over the top of that. I didn't feel I needed to, yeah, because of the fact that I hadn't painted them red in the first place. They were just black underneath, and then it kind of built up because I did the Senegal. Yeah, I didn't really need to. Next I used, it's just called Bright Bronze, just to do the sort of cap badges. And a couple of them have sort of buckles. I think it's in the command strip, and quite large buttons on the officer, on the cartouche boxes. You could say that's not necessary, you only need to do the back rank, because the front ones aren't going to get seen. So if you want to save time, use that to your advantage. But when you're painting on sprue, it's quite easy and quick to do. Then one thing I did before putting the green on was I did just go over the boots with game colour black, just because they had a few of the other colours move on to them. For the basing here, we're using Russian Uniform World War II. That's probably my go-to basing colour. I think it's a nice green, so yeah, that's what I use in almost all of my miniatures. And I just watered it down just ever so slightly, so it's not 100% thick. It just flows quite nicely. Now some of you might notice with the shackles and the little plumes, I didn't do red and white just on the command strips, because by this stage if I went back and tried to do the red lower down it would have messed up the whole miniature, so I left it as it was. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how they came out. To do the two strips together, so the two bases worth, I think it took me about 45 minutes, and that included flocking. So overall, I'm happy with the outcome. And this is the start of the new range, so expect quite a few more videos to come for both the British and the French. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave any comments below, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe.